Marcellus Wiley, the former All-Pro defensive end, host of More to It on the Dan Patrick Podcast Network. Also, host of Never Shut Up on Brinks TV. That's a new one that he has coming up. Also on the podcast, he talks about the Hall of Famers he thinks who are going into the Hall of Fame. Also, if you have a losing team, do you want Jim Harbaugh or Sean Payton? Marcellus joins us on the program. All right. I'll give you Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh. Who do you want on your team?
I'm going with Jim Harbaugh. There's something about the way that he approaches the game, the intensity that he possesses. Obviously, being a former player, there is some form of connection there. But it's the fact that he reminds me of someone that if we needed another man up, if we needed next man up, the 12th man on the field will be Coach Jim Harbaugh. I know he has the mind, the brilliance, and obviously Sean Payton, I'm taking no slights at him. We're having a Marvin Gaye, Sam Cooke discussion right now in terms of coaching. But when it comes to what Jim Harbaugh possesses, I think he gets the most out of his players, in part because he carries the same juice and electricity that they possess. So Jim Harbaugh just seems like a guy who could transmit his message across the sidelines in a greater capacity and greater passion. That's the guy I would choose.
Do you have to like your head coach to play for him?
Not at all. Not at all. You have to have the ability to compartmentalize and know the difference between like and respect. So you got to respect what he says, and you got to respect that he's going to bring discipline. You got to respect that he's going to do the proper things in terms of play calling. You got to respect that he's going to put the team in best situations and the logistics of it all. Like he's going to give you proper scheduling, proper rest, proper practice time. You got to respect it. You don't have to like it, because sometimes, especially when I played, we would have double days, sometimes triple days. No one liked it, but we respected it because we knew that this was going to end up with a greater result. So it's all about the process, what you go through. Who cares how it really feels, as long as it turns out well.
We spent a lot of time this morning talking about the non-playoff teams because they're interesting right now. And you got the Bears, who have the number 1 overall pick. And their GM said, look, Justin Fields is our quarterback unless I'm blown away by an offer, which means if I'm blown away by an offer, then Justin Fields probably isn't my quarterback. If you're the GM of the Bears and you have the number 1 overall pick and you have Justin Fields, what are you doing?
You know, one, he's already tipping his hand, because what he stated was the obvious. Every player is tradable if you're blown away by the offer. I don't care who you are. Blown away by the offer says a lot. And the reason he said that is because I don't think he needs to be blown away by the offer, because that's pretty obvious. I think this is something that they're a little closer to in terms of thinking of moving on from Justin Fields. That's why he's putting it out there. Hey, if you want Justin Fields, he's available. If you blow me away with your offer. Yeah. And I didn't like that, because now you're putting Justin Fields in a position where the chances are he stays. He does have some capabilities to go out there and help this team win, especially when he runs the ball, especially when the play breaks down. Obviously, that's not repeatable. That's not something that you can call a reliable offense, but he is doing some positive things. But I think if you had to place a bet on this one, they're trying their damnedest to move on from Justin Fields, because I think they want a quarterback in the more traditional capacity. Yes, a pocket passer who has the ability to run, instead of a guy who has his struggles at times in the pocket but still can run the ball.
Well, Seton brought this up earlier, and he was listening to an analyst say sometimes your quarterback resembles the conditions they play in. Like Josh Allen looks like Buffalo. Like you got to be big and strong and, you know. But I go back to Jim McMahon played in Chicago, and he wasn't a big guy. Right. Bryce Young is not a big guy, so I don't know if that really would factor in if I'm looking at Chicago and go, well, he's not built to be a Chicago quarterback. What do you think about the elements with your quarterback?
Yeah, I think when you're an organization, you're trying to draft someone who can withstand those conditions, those elements. I think we place too much burden and too much credence on that. I think we think about it too much. Like Doug Flutie is the itty bitty, right? He played in Buffalo better than the big, strong statue Rob Johnson did, you know? I think it doesn't matter when it comes down to If the quarterback has the talent, he has the mentality, and he has the proper pieces around him, you can play any quarterback in any condition. That said, when you're evaluating, it's hard to measure intangibles, and it's hard to measure how someone's going to deal with that adversity, which includes the elements. Let's be real. Before you go out to a game, before you even face your opponent, the other team, you're thinking about how you feel. And if you don't feel good in those elements, you don't stand a chance against the guys with the other colors on.
Do you think the Cardinals are regretting locking up Kyler Murray?
No, because I don't think the Cardinals fully understand the consequences of their choices. The Cliff Kingsbury, you sign him to an extension, then now he's not your coach. You have a quarterback, franchise quarterback, who was an MVP candidate before injury last year, came back this year. I don't know what this was, but he has talent. He is a tremendous talent. But the problem is, when you sign him to an extension, you leak out or put out that he needs to study more. So I just don't think this organization really knows which way is up. So therefore, they don't know the consequences of their actions. That said, they need to get some strong leadership. They need someone that they respect, that they don't like, as we were saying earlier. They need someone upstairs and on that sideline that is just going to buck everything that is the Cardinals' way right now, because they're not getting the most out of their results. They're not getting the most out of their talent. And that's why this team is in this situation.
What if the Cowboys get blown out?
Oh, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it, because I know the sky will fall. Like we always are in prediction of the sky falling when it comes to the Cowboys. It would fall if they were to lose this week, and in blowout fashion, just because we saw this team show some tremendous potential. We saw them go on a win streak. We saw them look like a team that's a real contender. And if that is not realized or even scratched in terms of them clawing their way to the NFC Championship game and losing a tight one, or even being in the Super Bowl, I just know there are going to be a lot of changes with that organization, obviously starting on the sideline with Mike McCarthy.
This is a story that hasn't gotten a lot of attention, and I did bring it up today. We're under the impression Tom Brady is playing next year, right?
Yeah, I am.
Monday could be his last game. Like if
Right.
they lose, but you know, we love to go at Tom Brady last game Monday night ? And then all these shows discuss it, right?
Yeah. Well, look, he just got a divorce, and I think everybody out there, all sports fans, man or woman, knows that when you get a divorce, it's time to live. It's time to party, and the way that Tom Brady lives and parties is going out there chasing Super Bowl championships. I couldn't imagine playing all of these years at that level of greatness, and I'm married, and it becomes a burden, it becomes a hindrance, it gets to the point where we have contention, we get divorced. And then that season after my divorce is my last season. Oh, hell no. I'm letting the dogs loose. It's time to go out there and hunt and see what it is. And there's a dynamic to the athlete that when he is single and allowed to mingle, you get a lot more bang for your buck out of that athlete. Whether we are Tiger Woods, we are Deion Sanders, we are 1,000 other athletes that I would name none of them. Point being, there's something about that energy that you get when you're single. I want to see Tom Brady out there single, brother.
Marcellus. Yeah, but he doesn't drink. I mean, he's not having any fun.
Well, I mean, look, the only reason people drink is to get to the place where they're going to have fun, right? He just skips that step. He's like, I don't need that. I don't need the hangover. I'm going to wake up and do it again. Tom Brady's passing us, bro.
Marcellus Wiley, the former All-Pro defensive end and host of More To It podcast on the DP Show Network and host of Never Shut Up on Brinks TV. You mentioned that you have the 5 players you think are going into the Hall of Fame this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to save that for the podcast because it's on the podcast. So everyone knows the finalist list, but
give me a surprise. Give me one. Can you give me one surprise of the 5 that you think are going in?
No.
Okay.
I can't even tease it. It's not a surprise. Like once you see the list and you stop trying to be nice and send Hallmark cards to all the favorite players that were great, when you start really breaking this down, it gets pretty obvious. And that's kind of the bit that I went through on the podcast. Like the finalist list comes out and every fan base gets activated. Oh, he was the best. He was. However, the best of the best is a different conversation. You got to listen for it.
Just got an update from the Bills. Damar Hamlin has been discharged from Buffalo General Medical Center, and he is headed home.
Unreal.
Unbelievable.
I mean, seriously, we throw that around so often. Unbelievable. This one truly was unbelievable. Flatlined twice, not once, twice. And no one's thinking about football right now. Just the fact that what a remarkable outcome, man. Tremendous blessings to him, man. So amazing.
I mean, that's less than 9 days.
Okay, look, I bring levity to everything. I laugh at my pain. So since he's out the hospital now, it seems like he's in the clear. And if I'm in the locker room like I'm in the locker room, this is what I say. Dog, how you gonna die twice and come back faster than if I get an ACL? Like, dog, this is insane. This dude is... Hey, if he can't play football again, trust me, he's all pro every year. It's gonna be unreal.
Yeah, guy who's got a calf strain. You know, he can't come back. Damar almost died twice.
Hey, if I play for Cincinnati this week and Lamar Jackson's out there, or if he's not, I'm like, look, hell, you not playing, and Damar Hamlin died twice, and he's back out the hospital. He ready to go.
That's what happens in the locker room, man. Hey, well, you can listen to the podcast, and Marcellus will tell you the 5 players who deserve to go into the Hall of Fame. And the new TV show, Never Shut Up, that debuts on Brinks TV today. What is Never Shut Up going to be?
Oh, never shut up, man. It's going to be exactly this dynamic, the locker room, which I declare was the last place where everyone was real. Everyone came in there, whether in agreement or disagreement, punching, throwing everything. The truth shall set you free. And then we walk away respectfully and go out there and handle our work. So the show is going to be about us starting the conversations where most of the time out in public, we end the conversation. So we're just going to go deeper about all the topics that we all are affected by, for some reason, not really speaking on.
What's the worst locker room fight you ever saw?
The worst fight? It actually ended with a smile. You know, when we used to play, we were allowed to haze, and the hazing was real. So Ted Washington, nicknamed Mount Washington, 6'6", 370, his fingers look like thighs, got into it with Pat Williams, who's a baby Mount Washington, Thurman Thomas, who else? Bruce Smith got one arm in there. He didn't want to. Basically, they tied him up. And this is hard to do because Pat Williams was stronger than strong. Tied him up butt naked in the Buffalo cold and taped him to the goalpost, poured water on him, baby powder, and let him freeze. And left him to freeze, but thankfully we had a good training staff that finally figured out what was going on. That was the funniest, most raucous fight I've ever seen.
That might be a violation now. Might be a violation. Might be.
I think with our PC culture right now, you don't even get to the baby powder. That might get you 5 days in jail if you even baby powder someone.
Marcellus, thank you.
Oh, appreciate it, Dan.
Good luck.
Take care, brother.
All right. Brinks TV today with Marcellus and the podcast. More to it.